well.
Yeah, you know, you look lovely. You look lovely.
Went up and said about the you. No, you had the 50 years.
Yes. Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Rotarians. Please stand as we commence our weekly meeting. But I just thank you so much. Thank you all so much for coming out. And we're going to do, as we call to order, we're going to do the Rotary Grace, invitation to the grace. Rotary Grace. Friends, again, we break bread together and unite our hearts in humble gratitude. May this happy meeting of the minds fully express in thought, word, and deed our steadfast devotion to the divine ideal of universal brotherhood and peace. Amen. Amen. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Good. And now it is my pleasure now to do the royal toast. The loyal toast, sorry, the loyal toast. The loyal toast. Ladies and gentlemen, please raise your glass with me as we do a loyal toast to the King and to the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
To the King and Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
Sheila, you got a big glass here now. We're going to do several toasts for you. But indeed, welcome to our meeting, the RCN meeting. It is always a pleasure to have so many of you join us in person and in Zoom land. Always a pleasure. We are a hybrid company. Now. We are a hybrid club, and of course, many of us decide to do it by Zoom, and then a few of us decide to come in person. So we were just happy that you are able to join us, however you are able to. And so we just want to give an opportunity to recognize all of our visiting Rotarians. Do we have any visiting Rotarians, first of all, in the house? Don't seem so. Like everyone is. Was that yes, in the house. Victoria is. Yeah, she. Victoria. I don't regard Victoria as a guest anymore, Madam President. Victoria is here more than many members. Victoria, is always a pleasure to have you. You are part of us. You are one of us, my dear. You show your loyalty. Do we have any visitors online? Any Rotarian visiting online today? Mr. Chairman of the membership committee, could you assist us with that, please? Any visitors online? Rotarians?
I don't see any visitors. Everybody look like they are part of the RCN family.
Do we have any visitors? Any visitors of Rotarians on the line, on call? Anyone who's visiting and was invited to the meeting by a fellow Rotarian? Jamie Taylor? You have a Jamie Taylor?
Jamie?
Hi, Jamie. Could you open up your mic and just introduce yourself?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone.
Hi, Jamie. And you are the guest of who?
I am the guest of Shelby Price.
Okay, shall it be? What shall it be? Good. Yes, you're in good company, Jimmy.
Jamie should be joining us soon.
Okay, Jimmy. Yes, I'm getting good news, Jimmy.
I don't consider her as a guest.
Yes, well, my apologies, Jimmy. You're part of the family. I understand. You're part of the family. You're no longer guests. You are with us, and we're so happy, Jamie, that you've made the decision to join RCN, the greatest club here greatest Rotarian club here.
The greatest
Club here.
Rotarian Club. I agree, and I am
Thank you,
happy
thank
and
you,
pleased
thank
to be a
you.
part of it.
Okay, good, beautiful, beautiful. We're so excited for new members. We turning over stuff and all. But anyway, happy that you're able to join us. And of course, Madam, there be any more, Madam President, I see you stepping away. Okay, good, beautiful. And so we're gonna move like right along, Madam President, because we have our guest speaker in the house. And of course, she has a very important topic that she wishes to discuss with us. And so, Madam President, we invite you now to the lectern to come and give your greetings and your remarks. Thank you so much.
All right. Let me translate. All right, good afternoon, everyone. I'm coming a little away just so we don't have any incidents. All right, but I do have a video. We are celebrating Environment Month. There may be some of you who missed that. We put it in the chat. RI Rotary International has now changed April to Environment Month. Maternal and child health will now be celebrated in January. So on of Environment Month, I do have a video to share.
This will be the end of one disease, but a new chapter in Rotary. A chapter where sustainability is front and center. Sustainability has become the watchword of Rotary because we want good to last. We want our world to be better, not just here, not just for us, for everyone, for generations. So I'm asking you to be the inspiration to move Rotary from reaction to action, to take a hard look at the environmental issues that affect our health and our welfare, to do what we can to make a difference. Sustainable service means looking at everything as part of a larger system, as part of a larger global ecology. It means helping to build stronger and more resilient communities. It means doing everything that we can to make sure that the good we do now is leading to better lives tomorrow and beyond. So I'm asking you to be the inspiration in your clubs, in your districts, to show them what we can do, what we can be, to be the inspiration to your countries, to your communities, by coming together, taking action to create lasting change. I'm asking you to be the inspiration because together we will inspire the world. And I thank you for everything you're going to do to make our world a better place next year. Thank you.
All right, so with that, that leads into our speaker. You'll get a little bit more information about her when Sabita does the introduction. So I won't get too much into that, but from our secretary, do you want to do an update, maybe try to get some more push for our signups for the Red Cross? Okay, doesn't look like I want it. But so we do have a lot of persons signed up, but as I said last week, we're still in that situation this week. We do need persons for the later shifts in the evening. But thank you so much for those who have been signing up. So just so you know, the ones who signed up for the first shift on Saturday will be helping to set up, and the ones who signed up for the last shift on Sunday will be helping to break down. Just so you're not surprised when you get there, they're asking you to move stuff around, okay? But so we're looking forward to that. I know persons have been signing up, so that should be a good event for us with the Red Cross. And that's it for me. Okay, well, no, the secretary apparently is not on, so I did a little bit. So I acted as secretary as well. So membership, actually, you're up next.
Okay.
So then our pseudo MC is asking me to call on you now, so. Okay.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I trust you all are doing well. Just a couple of things. I was looking for our birthday celebrants. Unfortunately, I don't see them online, but I saw Owen the other day. But it's Owen's birthday. His anniversary, sorry, Owen's anniversary, 3 years. So if you are online, just send him a note to say happy anniversary to Owen. He's celebrating 3 years. And we have Tamika, Rotarian Tamika. She's celebrating April 20th for her birthday, and Rotarian Shelby is celebrating on April 22nd. So we want to wish them happy birthday during this time. All right, have a great and enjoy your meal.
Okay, so we got-
They are here.
So don't go inside, they're not here?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Don't replace all today.
And so we're gonna move right ahead and in the interest of time to get our guest speaker up, because we're quite sure that there'll probably be a lot of questions afterwards. And so coming now to introduce our guest speaker is none other than Rotarian Samita. She is coming up now, and she's going to give a warm introduction to our guest speaker. Thank you so much, Samita.
Good afternoon, all. Virginia Ginny McKinney, born in the Bahamas and educated in England and the United States, is married with 2 children and 2 grandchildren. Ginny has been in the waste industry for over 35 years. First in the rare load packer residential business, now into roll-off big bin trucks with Waste Not Limited. Ginny went into the waste business to get recycling going. Over 25 years ago, she started Cans for Kids, a registered nonprofit recycling of aluminum cans to raise funds for children. 14 years ago, she started Green Systems Limited, a commercial composting and mulch business to encourage business administrations to stop garden waste from going into the landfill. Green waste can be as much as 25% of the waste that goes into the landfill. Waste Not Limited also services 4 depots where plastic, glass, and aluminum cans are collected. In 2017, Ginny won the contract to manage the New Providence landfill, proposing to include waste to energy, recycling, composting with a group of waste companies called WRDG, which is Waste Resources Development Group, and Providence Advisors under the name New Providence Ecology Park, NP. Their logo is Waste Management for Bahamians by Bahamians. At NPEP, they are gradually moving towards that reality by training young Bahamians and bringing back qualified Bahamians who are practicing in the international waste industry. Ginny is now working on bringing integrated waste management to the Family Islands to help preserve our beautiful environment and keep our own people healthy. A Family Island proposal was submitted to the UN IDB Blue Tech Challenge last year to run a pilot project in Harbor Island, North Elizabeth. The IDB has since reached out to say they will support such local initiatives. Ginny believes strongly that as Bahamians, we can do this utilizing international expertise, and technology through collaboration and sharing of ideas, experiences, successes, and failures. Waste management is not free. We all need to be realistic and pay something into the local systems to sustain them and move away from the dependency on central government. Clubs and associations are powerful groups who get things done on a nonpartisan basis. I am so happy that the Rotary Club of Nassau is part of the conversation, she says. As Rotary International celebrates Environment Month, please join me, my fellow Rotarians and guests, by welcoming Mrs. Virginia Jenny McKinney to discuss household batteries collection and disposal. Let's give a warm Rotarian. Good day.
Thank you so much for having me. Waste is a huge subject. And so what I've done is I've tried to sort of keep it confined and explain a little about how we do it now and what is being recycled now, but not go into too much detail, otherwise we'll be here for a long time. Anyway, you will notice, first of all, that I have made no mention of plastics in the following talk. Plastics are a huge problem, as well as being one of the most useful materials known to man. Though Cans for Kids has, through their depots, collected plastics 1, 2, and 5, because of lack of funding, we have not been successful in processing and shipping off island. We are constantly, though, exploring ways to recycle this material, looking at extrusion, plastics to fuel, 3D printing, and of course, baling and granulating for shipment overseas. Some plastics have good value and warrant shipping off, but others would barely, if at all, cover the processing and shipping costs. And some have no current market value at all. MPEP, which I'll mention later as well, is meant to be building a material recycling facility this year, which would give us an end game. But in the meantime, Waste Not Limited stockpiles all the materials we have collected over the past 7 years. So anyway, we'll discuss plastics later. Cardboard is also not mentioned. Previously recycled by Bahamas Waste Limited for compliance on the part of shops, companies, supermarkets, etc. And then the appearance of Renew Bahamas caused them to discontinue their program. Since then, cardboard has basically gone into the landfill or been composted by MPEP. Same with paper, though 2 of the shredding companies, which do all the document shredding, have recycled their paper through international channels. Markets are not strong, and with the additional cost of shipping to market, it does place us, the Bahamas, at a disadvantage. So as I say, I've not spent much time on that. Okay, so waste, as we know, is made up of everything we wish to get rid of because it's rotten, broken, or we don't want it. But as we know, not all waste is garbage. Currently, our only landfill in New Providence is located on government land off Harold Road and was previously run by the Department of Environmental Health. But as of 2018, became privately managed by New Providence Ecology Park, now known as MPEP. A company originally made up of 7 waste companies under the name WRDG and Providence Advisors, which is, as you know, a financial company. Now Providence Advisors has bought out 5 of those waste companies, so has become the majority shareholder. We employ an international engineering team and a management team with our overarching vision of being an all-Bahamian team within the next year. The landfilling that takes place is our only mode of waste disposal. There is no waste to energy or other mode of reduction being used. Waste is received from incoming, that's packet trucks, which are basically residential, collecting from residential, and roll-off trucks, which are the big open top bins that we all hire to put everything in. And they come in and they're tipped onto the active waste area, then compacted and covered with fill. And fill, of course, as we know, is our very precious limestone curry, which we also use in our building. In addition to the fill, we add a mixture of C&D,
Yeah.
which is construction and demolition debris, which we segregate from incoming waste and crush. We accept tires and shred and bale them for use on the landfill, but with the huge amount of used tires that are imported into our country, the volume of discarded tires is about 20,000 per month, more than is generally anticipated in other parts of the world where they calculate 1 tire per car per year. Currently, there is no tipping fee at the landfill, though our scales are now operational. This is a decision for our government, but since we have a vibrant tourist trade and accept cruise ship waste, a tipping fee cannot be far off. We also at MPEP run a residential drop-off where small trucks, both commercial and private, can bring their waste. As much as possible, the incoming waste is separated into separate bins dedicated to green waste, glass, white goods, and garbage. White goods, by the way, are your fridges, your washing machines, etc. These bins are then hauled by our roll-off trucks up to the active waste areas for disposal or composting. And in the case of the glass crushing, we use it at MPEP for bedding, as they call it, the methane and leachate pipes we're installing. To capture the one is a gas and the other is a liquid. Cooking oil and motor oil can also be brought to this site for disposal, as can small batteries. So what is being actively recycled? Aluminum cans, for one. Aluminum has held its value through many boom and bust periods. It is traded on the international market and can be reused endlessly. Here in the Bahamas, Cans for Kids has for over 25 years collected, processed, and shipped to market containers of aluminum cans to raise funds predominantly for kids. Cans for Kids currently continues to collect and ship cans, but has added small batteries, glass, green waste, and food waste to its lineup of materials that could and should be recycled. So with the platform that we have, that we use to say these things also should start to be recycled. Through Waste Not Limited, Cans for Kids services 3 depots, MPCC, which is on Blake Road, Adastra Gardens, and St. Andrews School. They also have public aluminum can collection points at Bahamas Humane Society and at Bahamas National Trust on Village Road. All the proceeds from these are going to those entities, so please bring your cans there. So green waste and food waste. Now, again, I'm talking about stuff that we are recycling now. Food waste is not so much recycled now, but anyway, here we go. Here are 2 components of the waste stream that have tremendous value locally if diverted and composted into a rich soil, or conversely, can be 2 of the most damaging and dangerous components of our waste stream when buried in our landfill. Under the landfill circumstances, it degrades in an anaerobic environment, which leads to the formation of methane gas, a major global warming gas. And also a liquid is formed called leachate, which comes from the breakdown of organic plant and food matter. Currently, both MPEP and Green Systems Limited divert green waste. MPEP catches it as best they can down at the RDO, which is our residential drop-off area, and in any dedicated loads that come into the landfill. But much of it comes into the landfill in the back of packer trucks, which, as I say, come from our residential areas, mixed in with all the garbage bags. We're all guilty of placing our green waste with our garbage in the hopes that it will go. Green Systems, on the other hand, which is out at the Airport Industrial Park, only accepts green waste. And though some bits of garbage creep in, the green waste is mainly clean grass, clippings, bush, and hedge prunings, tree trimmings, etc. Since NPEP is actually going to use their composted material to cover retired areas of the landfill and what is called an evapotranspiration cover, there is less need for a clean material, whereas Green Systems must ensure an uncontaminated feedstock so their compost can be sold into the market for farming and landscaping. Cans for Kids has done a lot of work with the hotels, encouraging them to explore ways of diverting their food waste, because I mean, the amount of food waste is huge. I think a third of all food that's produced actually gets wasted. I mean, I could come with some more of that later if anybody's interested, but it truly we waste food. And the local landfill, you know, in Freeport, for instance, is actually diverting it and composting it from the cruise ships. Glass, another component of our waste stream that has a beneficial use here at home when reduced to a cullet, which a cullet, of course, is just a crushed glass. As a cullet, it can be incorporated into our building blocks, which, you know, we have a couple of companies that make, and any cement works where it enhances their strength and durability. And that actually is a scientifically proven fact. It can be used for sandblasting as well, and for bedding pipes, which is what is being done at MPEP currently. Again, Cans for Kids is encouraging hotels to divert their glass. So far, Bahama and Atlantis are actively implementing, but it is a slow process, but they do generate a lot. Just so you know, in fact, one of the breweries, which is bottling in glass bottles, puts about 36 million units into the local market. At 36 million bottles that come into, and actually, if you do the math, you will find that it's not that great an amount of consumption locally, you know, but we also have our tourist population that is consuming. But think of all of those bottles then not, you know, not being recollected because Commonwealth Brewery has stopped their recycling. They now use what they call a sacrificial bottle. And so those now bottles are now out there in our going into our landfill. Now we do use them, as I say, at the landfill to bed the pipes that we're using to capture leachate and methane. And they do have uses, as I say, so we need to divert it. Now, household hazardous waste, which is more close to what we're talking about now for the Rotary to be attaching to and promoting. This category includes paints, all the chemicals we use in our houses and gardens, to bleaches, you know, any kind of solvents, all of that. Also fluorescent bulbs, which, as we know, have the mercury in them. And of course, all the small batteries that power our cell phones, our computers, our various gadgets and toys. These pose a particular problem actually for the landfill, as they are easily damaged by the blades of the large machinery used to compact the garbage and burn the landfill, causing sparks to fly and ignite fires. And in fact, even though we haven't had any major fires, a landfill is constantly having to be careful with fires because, as I say, things like this will ignite a fire. You've got that methane coming up, and though we are installing those pipes, we still have this methane coming off the landfill, and that adds to the ability of the fire to be sustained. And then if there's much uncovered waste, then that too feeds into the fire. Once the battery housing is damaged, the contents gradually deteriorate and seep into the leachate, again, the liquid which is formed by the organic matter. That combined leachate then slowly makes its way into our water supply, poisoning the environment and by extension us. And as you all know, around the landfill have grown up some really nice communities. It's got way more densely populated there. And now a lot of those people have wells, and they, you know, so though we constantly measure and monitor the wells to see what is in the groundwater, these are real and present dangers. So talking about batteries still, with car batteries, these are usually accepted, you know, by the businesses that sell the new ones, and if they are responsible, they consolidate them until they have a full shipment. Though many car batteries, as we know, still get discarded in random places, along with white goods cars and tires and garbage. So right now we recycle aluminum cans, green waste, and glass, like that's real, but only a fraction of what is generated by us, the public. And that, of course, is what we're talking about today, is how to remedy this. So a little overview of what we have in place in terms of collection. Government has no recycling program, though there have been attempts to establish a separate collection for green waste over many years, I might add. The efforts have always been thwarted by us, the public, complaining and demanding that green waste should be collected along with our garbage. When you think that green waste comprises sometimes as much as 25% of the waste stream, the diversion of it is so important as it saves landfill space. We really don't have the land to spare, keeps space in the packer trucks that do the residential, and avoids that methane gas generation. So what's not to like? Collection right now, currently the government pays independent garbage companies to collect all our residential waste. They pay the independent companies $2.50 per household per pickup. But the contracts, unfortunately, are often more politically distributed than based on companies' historical performance. Now, I'm too old now to care if I'm insulting anybody, because it's a tradition, so I'm not pointing a finger at anybody. This leads to problems. In some constituencies, areas, I have been told there is collection twice per week, while in others, it only happens every 2 weeks. But overall, service has improved using the independent company.
Yes.
At this moment, there is no separation, though, at the household level. Everything goes into our garbage bags, which then sit waiting, smelling, for the weekly pickup. And in the summer, when it is also rainy, the maggots also are happy to take up residence. If you're lucky, the dogs and rats don't get in there and rip it open, drag it along the street. And we could, and we should investigate making one pickup, if there are 2 pickups, for green waste and recyclers, and the other for garbage. So that is something to be considered. Now, food waste, as I'm saying, is the real cause of the smell. Home composting currently is the best way to avoid the smell, and by extension, the dogs and rats. Taking your food waste, and this is what I do, I'm reducing it to a slurry in your magic bullet or your food processor, and then mixing with sawdust or your green waste allows for a quicker breakdown and no rats, because I've had lots of rats in the past. But not all of us, of course, want to compost, so eventually some residential curbside collection of food waste may have to evolve. And if they can do it in Italy, which is an equally hot country, surely we can do it here. So now to small batteries. And I just want to say, though you have chosen to concentrate on small batteries, I would like you to keep in mind all that other household hazardous waste, which also needs to be diverted from regular landfilling. Currently, Cans for Kids is picking up for free any small batteries if the person is also collecting cans. But outside of that, there is a huge volume of batteries going into the landfill in amongst the bags of our trash garbage. The hotels, again, for instance, change their TV remote batteries every 3 months. Multiply that by the number of rooms we have in inventory, and you really have quite a formidable amount of batteries that are going into the landfill. In their case, usually in a compactor. In our households, think of how many battery-powered things you have. How to capture and then process the batteries is the question. There are 2 ways to effectively capture household hazardous waste outside of curbside collection, and they are depots and household hazardous waste drives. The household hazardous waste drive has been shown to be one of the most effective ways to collect in that waste, especially where depots have yet to be established. Usually run by service clubs like yours and or county officials. They're done every 3 to 6 months with plenty of advertising. Public places chosen, like the parking lot of a supermarket or something. Shipping containers are then brought in for storage, and a strict protocol for receiving, identifying, and then storing the collected material has to be in place. And then, in fact, we do have an end game. In this case, it's MPEP, which does have a hazardous waste building, and it has already started this process with shipping it off and all that entails. It's also an opportunity actually for a swap shop for paints, household and garden chemicals that are still viable and in well-marked containers. And back in 2011, when I was part of the Bahamas Natural Pride Association, we did, try to run a program like this. Actually, we never ran it, but we did write the sort of format. And so I do still have that template, which I'm happy to share. So when it comes to recycling, what will the Bahamian public respond best to? And very importantly, what will we sustain? Despite generating money for people, kids, and associations, Cans for Kids has not managed to capture the huge amount of cans sold into the local market. We guesstimate more than $1 million worth of material is landfilled or thrown away on the roadside or into the sea. Creative thinking, networking among the many companies and associations you all belong to will bring about a huge change. So now we need to discuss the change. Thank you.
Good. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. What a wonderful presentation. Any questions? If there are any questions, one at a time, please.
This me? Oh. Ms. McKinney, thank you for coming to talk to us today. More than many, I know of the accomplishments and struggles you've been through over the years. I noticed in your presentation, you did not say anything about car tires. And I understand that before you took control of the dump, so landfill, there were problems. A lot of the problems with smoke, toxic smoke was generated by the burning of used car tires. Do you have anything to?
Yes, in fact, I do, and I apologize for that because I seem to have skipped over that, and maybe I did mention it, but we do accept tires at the landfill, and definitely because we don't want them dumped. So it's hugely important that people know that we accept them and accept them for free. And we shred or bale them to use on the landfill, but it is a huge amount of used tires that we generate. And a lot of that is because we allow a lot of used tires to come into the country. And at first sight, they look like a better deal, but actually they last a very short time because the tread is gone or whatever. And so soon enough that they have to be discarded too. Anyway, we find that we get about 20,000 minimum tires coming into the landfill per month. As I say, we're trying to use as much as we can. And I do want to say that I have for years said that we should take, because again, is what can we use here that is useful to us? And forget shipping out. And what is useful to us really is shredding and then taking it down to a crumb. And that crumb then can get incorporated in our roads. And why is that useful? In fact, that incorporation of rubber into the mix for the roads, in fact, enhances its ability to expand and contract in our weather and make the roads last longer. And it's only it has been proposed to Ministry of Works, and it is just a matter of having the political will or foresight. And we all pay a fee, I might add, $5 for a passenger tire, $10 for an SUV, small pickup. I think it's $25 for a large truck tire. These are fees that I know are paying for other waste, but at the same time, if we were to actually earmark part of that and have part of that fee go in, we actually could afford the machinery, which yes, it's about $1 million worth of machinery, but we have this enhanced roadwork that now will last, instead of lasting 10 years, when it's lasting 20 years, and a penny saved is a penny earned. It's a way that we need to sort of see value in things that we're kind of not seeing value in. So I don't know if maybe, sorry, we do have our scales and everything. I don't know, maybe I just missed out this whole page.
I'm not hearing.
In passion, plea for recycling. But the problem is that the only way that this is going to work is by educating people about how to do it, why to do it, and that, you know, kind of in the long run, it actually is going to put something in their pockets. And there is no real education going on out there. I mean, years ago, I was involved with the Clean, Green and Pristine campaign, which I started with, you know, one of the agencies. And to a certain extent, because it was so intensive, that worked short term. But people's memories are short term as well. We need to push. And the government, you know, I know it's a kind of poor law of hope, but the government, everybody needs to really get out there and educate the public. Otherwise, nothing's going to happen. As long as people still feel it's okay to dump a car on an empty lot and the tires and all of that, nothing's going to happen.
So I think that the first thing is facilitation. So you need the processes in place that will allow people to be responsible and dispose correctly. So that is a big failing that we have. It's not, we haven't put enough of those processes in. And that's the question is, do we, the public, push for it, or does the government, you know, say, oh, we need to get this going? Yeah, the education is, yeah, you can't be in a void. So once you start educating, you do need to have an end game, and you need to have processes in place that will allow people then to follow through and follow the law. So that would be my answer to that. And the Clean, Green, Pristine campaign was formidable. And I think at that point, I remember Alma Garraway was the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Health. And I mean, it was great. It was excellent. But then from there, you know, there was inertia. And so nothing has happened. And you know, we all go away, and we all do a big go away. We go to countries and it says recycle, and we are all obedient. And we just have to see ourselves as valuable enough to do that as well. It's big. And I wanted to mention that when I was just coming here, Gowan Bow was on talking about the national plan, which, you know, encompassed waste as well. They talked about waste, and they interviewed us and how, where we needed to go in order to be responsible for our environment and the beautiful country we live in, and the thing that earns us an awful lot of money to take care of. So we need, yeah, and this is a good forum. The Rotary clubs and associations, you all are coming from very various and varied companies and institutions and possibly ministries, and that's where a lot of power lies. We need to use it.
Next
Yeah,
question.
perhaps Rotary should spearhead something like that.
Thank you again for the presentation. So comment again to piggyback on Rotary and Sheila's, in terms of having an awareness campaign, etc. But my question would be, in terms of packaging and preparing one, the batteries, and two, the cans, can you walk me through that process? And then I may be naive or missed it, but in terms of the cans, who, the donations, where does that go to? And then I had a further question.
So with the can, I'll start with can. What we do is we collect the fruit, and we do all the processing, we do the brokerage, shipping, is all of that unfortunately has to get paid for.
Sorry, I should have mentioned like on the residential level, like is when I'm done using the can.
Yeah.
Clean it, should I take off the label?
Yeah.
Like, how?
Okay, so cans actually are amazingly easy and able to be clean. And it's not like a food can that has food residue in it. And most of the stuff that is in a can, in fact, is either evaporated, it's very little, and the most that you'll get if you really keep your cans for a long time are beans, you know, that they will be around. But in terms of smell and being unpleasant like that, that's not the case. We don't do a residential, though we do have people who are amazing collectors, and we do go to their houses because they have a huge volume. And I think one of the things about you know, why we have focused on institutions and ministries and associations, stuff like that, to collect cans is because it takes so many cans to make a ton. So I think it's 48,000 cans to make 1 ton. So right on with my numbers, but it is a huge amount. It's actually nearly, oh my God, I'll never get there, so I'm not even going to start. But the power is in the collective. So schools, associations, people that bring a lot of people together in either one place or whatever, they can accumulate and bring to, say, a school. They would come from your house, your kid would be, or you know, a niece or a nephew. Then you would say, okay, here are my cans, and you would send your cans to that school. And when that school, then we go to that school and we pick it up, we provide containers and or enclosures for them to keep them in. Because we don't want to squander our collection. We do it for free, so we want to go there when there's like a sugar bag full. And sugar bag, by the way, is a bag that brought sugar for Coca-Cola, and they measure 4 by 4 by 4. Oh, that's a very sobering fact. And they give them to us free, and we will distribute them along with these small enclosures that we've constructed. And we say, well, when one of these is full, we'll come and collect it. So we collect, and then we record that. So, and every quarter, according to the pounds you've collected, we then give you 30 cents for each pound. Now, for hotels and places like that, we tend to only give 20 cents because in this case, we're now trying to encourage them to use those dollars that they might earn off their can collection to get the glass recycling done. Whereas with kids, we're hoping it goes totally for kids. So as I say, we have private people who do collect, and they do it to sustain themselves. You know, so, and that's why we must do that. I hope that answers that question. What was the other question?
It was packaging for that, we just probably.
So China, so these, so really collecting in your house, you know, all your little batteries, these kind of, so this is what is the labeling.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, this is what we want to launch for birthday, which is on the 22nd. So we've been working with Jenny to make it happen. So we have a few of these jars that we're going to put into our Interact school, you know, to get them started. And I did bring some extras, so if any Rotarians want to get started, and I'm going to try to bring one to every meeting as well. So if you want to, you can bring batteries there. So basically you just need to collect them. We're using jars because, you know, as Jenny mentioned, they do heat up. So if you put them in plastic or paper, you know, they could heat up to the point where they burn through. So with the glass, you know, you wouldn't have that happening. And then once we have it filled up, then we can.
Yeah. And also the other thing is batteries are very heavy. So once you've got this full, it's actually quite heavy. So we tend to sort of encourage people to be doing smaller containers. In the States and stuff, they often talk about taking to terminals and stuff like that. For safety and shipping, but you know, I think that's a bridge too far.
Yes.
That would discourage a lot of people from actually getting to it. But the batteries are a big problem. They're a big problem for us with our groundwater. It's that material then leaching out. It's not about fire, it's getting damaged and it's leaching into our groundwater. That was a problem, and as I say, we have big communities around that.
Okay, I know Sheila talked about education, but some of the places I've lived, they normally collected two garbage. You have the recycled garbage, you have regular garbage. You did mention that in your speech, but would we get to that point well, starting with your Providence? I know the government probably would have to initiate it.
Well, you're totally right, and it's just a matter of if there are two pickups happening. It's all right now being, everything's washed into one bag, so if you thought that you would separate out the plastics, say the MPE does have to get that plastic processing happening. And that was a separate one with the green waste, it would make sense, it would totally make sense. One thing I want to say about education is that there is not a first world to the people. And we are a first world, we did very first world, we consume the same sort of rate as anybody else, as anywhere in the US, we tend to say also we're a very small community, and we are, but we are still, each one of us, part of the 9 billion people that make up the planet, so our actions and the way we consume on each individually is as important that we start to control it as anywhere on earth. But I was saying about, any other countries, they spend a lot of money constantly educating their population. And it could be a postcard that you receive in the mail or WhatsApps, stuff like that, constantly prompt you to tell you, where things can be recycled, why you should recycle, etc., etc. So, Cans for Kids does we plug along, but it takes money, and that's where we don't have to be more cognizant. We have to put some funds into education.
Okay, thanks so much. There will be no other questions. Subika, we're getting straight up. Could you come and yes, please. And of course, we'll have a bathroom lot later on. No questions.
Thank you so much, Mrs. McKinney, for just bringing an awareness on matters pertaining to waste management, and I call it Waste Management 101. So while you're sitting down, deliberating, and just thinking about how Rotary can assist and other organizations, please pour your tea or coffee in this mug and tea, and just, right and type away. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Now, you explained everything to me, and so I don't need to call my garbage men idiots anymore when I place all of my green waste out there and they leave the bag. Wondering what? In one time. So now I guess we educated the garbage men not to take away those stuff, and then the batteries. Our old batteries with our cars, we put it by the garbage bin, and the garbage truck does not take those neither. So now we understand why education is very, very important. I think we need to explain it to the general public why the garbage trucks does not take our green stuff away, the leaves and stuff as we cut them down. Okay, thanks so much. Okay, now moving on, we have a raffle, I understand, Madam President. Okay, we have a raffle, boy, this is a beautiful prize.
It is.
This is awesome. I mean, handmade bag. I mean, it's a beach bag.
Yeah, that's my fault.
They call it Pro Beach. I was right, Pro Beach, the Pro Beach bag. Very, very expensive bag, looks very good. Yeah, it feels very good. My wife can do with this. She goes on the beach. So. Yeah.
You gotta buy a ticket to win it.
I gotta buy a ticket. Last week I won, week before last I won. And so let's keep that going again. Repeat. Oh,
He can't pick it back. Pick it down, pick it. We have one question that just popped up.
We'll get in the parking lot.
All right, just popped up.
Done.
Well, let's put this in and we ask the question.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Right now, we have one option, that we have on raffle right now, a beautiful Pro Beach pie. And this is gonna go home just with some lovely lady. That bag there, that's so good. Bam, they got ticket number 618. Are we all still here? Number 4. Are we here? Number 1. What number you want me calling now? What last number? Last number. Come on, I didn't hear it. Let me hear a number. No, let me hear another number.
5. 0 is the number.
Let me hear it. This table over here, which number you waiting on? Oh, yeah, go. So I tell you this other. Okay, so the last number is number 2. Boy. It's a single brother. I don't think he's married anymore. He doesn't give us a moment.
Danny with the lucky
Samita,
five.
yeah, you got
She
it.
said a
Someone
four.
get it. I think someone get it.
Danny. Order Danny.
He said someone can get it. Someone can get it. Danny's a young fella. Danny, be careful now. Oh, let's get it from him. Let's get it from him.
There you go.
One question that came up, Mr.
Okay,
We have 2 minutes, so one question came up from, and I have to ask this question because this came from my buddy. So my buddy asks, it's a great topic, good information. Where is there a plastic depository and any glass depots? Yeah. What? And any glass depots? And then if there are any, could you please give us a phone contact?
There is a glass bin at MPCC, which is on Blake Road, out west, next to Doctor's Hospital. That western one. And then there's also a glass bin at what we call the residential drop-off, the RDO, which is along Harold Road. Just if you're headed west, it's just before Mr. Miller's bowling alley. And then, yeah, that's the landfill. You just drive in. And there is a big sign there that says, and those are really the only 2 places currently for glass.
What about plastic?
Yeah, so plastics, we at Cancer for Kids, we do 1, 2, and 5. And we pick them up from the depots, so that's MPCC. I think Adastra is also doing plastic. And I'm not so sure if St. Andrews is doing the plastic anymore. But without an end game, I could have brought a picture of my yard, which is like a mountain of plastic. We're hoping that MPEP will get that plastic sorting and processing building going, and then there would open the doors to a lot of plastic recycling.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Of course, we have a parking lot afterwards if you so wish to ask our guests and speaker any additional questions. We want to just acknowledge Faisha Johnson. Faisha Johnson, she's joined online and she is the special guest of past President Stephen Dean. So let's hear it up for Faisha Johnson. Let's hear it up for her, please. Give our RCN welcome. Welcome. And finally, those of you who don't have your pins on, let's see, raise a hand who do not have their rotary pins on. Putting it, we have, okay, Brother Sam, Brother Wallace, don't have their rotary pins on. So if we can collect those fines from you. I'm quite sure the president will be more than happy. All fines and all ticket sales go towards polio, the eradication of polio from the face of the planet. And Rotary has done a good job, and we're almost there. Yes, and Wallace. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, those of you who contributed. And ladies and gentlemen, as we bring our meeting to a close, could you kindly stand, please, for our four-way test? Four-way test of the things we think, say, or do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendship? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? And will it be fun? Will it be fun? Of course it will. Thank you so much. And then now, host, the Rotary around the world. And we asked Larry to do it. I love to hear Larry do the toast around the world. Larry, do that first.
To all of you Rotarians and guests who are here, those Rotarians who are joining us on air, please, let us join together with Rotarians everywhere in a toast to Rotary all over the world.
Rotary all over the world. Thank you so much.
Okay, so Tamika's on, so we can play a birthday song now.
Okay, go ahead.
Tamika, we're going to play your birthday song for you now, okay?
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. My birthday, come again. My birthday, come again. My birthday, come again. How old am I now? My birthday, come again. My birthday, come again. My birthday, come again. So I can party all night.
Ladies, let me take you there. Ladies, John, before you go. Are you going, Larry? We can take a quick picture. Yeah. John, you going? Okay.
Happy birthday, everyone.
Gentlemen, ladies.